Hello everyone, it's Lindsay, and I know you can't see it, but I am super doing the happy dance because I finished my December daily. For those of you who don't know, this is my third attempt at December daily. The first year I got absolutely nothing done other than buying the product. The second year I got maybe 2 entries done, and that was it. So I am so excited to be done. Now I know that I had mentioned in past videos, I will link my past flip throughs down below, that I was going to do all the way to the 31st of December. However, I didn't do that for a few reasons. One being, you can see just how chunky this is all the way up to the 25th. I don't think that I could fit any more pages in this album without it being kind of warped and weird. Second, my husband had vacation time during this last part of December, and so I envisioned all these grand plans and fun trips and things that we were going to be doing. And in reality, we've basically been living in our pajamas, watching movies, hanging out, which is totally fine. But I don't need 6 days of photos of us watching movies. So there's that. And third, I'm just done. I love this project. I had so much fun, but I am glad to have it off my desk. I packed away all my Christmas stuff. I'm ready to move into some new things. So I will link my past 2 flip throughs down below. Those are days 1 through 8 and 9 through 16. I'll link those down below, and we'll jump in and take a look at the last part of this album. I did want to show, I finished up with this little tassel on the outside here, and this is using some of the trims and bells and this little tag from Felicity Jane. It says EXO Felicity Jane 2018, and this just kind of lives on the outside of my album. That way when it's sitting on the shelf, I can see what year this December daily is, because I plan on doing more years in the future, hopefully. So you can see this puppy is super full. This is an album from Felicity Jane. I believe it's the 2-inch, so it's pretty big, but I have filled it full, and I didn't really think that I was using that many chunky elements, but obviously I was. So my last flip through ended here on day 16. I'm going to try to avoid some of the glare. We'll see how that goes. So starting with day 17, this last chunk, I had quite a few days where I wasn't really doing much of anything, and so I had a lot of filler pages, and this is one of those. And so what I did was I saved all of our Christmas cards. We don't get very many. Tanya, here's Tanya's card, and so I don't usually save our Christmas cards. They honestly usually get tossed out. There were a couple years that I saved them, but I didn't really have a good place to save them at, and so this worked out perfect. I had this pocket insert from Felicity Jane and covered it in some of the crepe paper, I think it's crepe paper, Snow and Cocoa line. This is from last year. I got it on Peachy Cheap from Instagram, and it came with the papers and some stickers and some little paper clips, and then also some little shaker elements. And so I just went ahead and covered that white insert with the papers and made a little pocket that I could store these cards in. So I like that I'm able to now save them, especially the ones, you know, that have handwritten notes and family photos and things like that will all be together. So I just, you know, mainly use that Snow and Cocoa line. I did mix in a little bit of the Merry Days collection. These little snowflakes are from Felicity Jane, and just did some filler cards. No journaling, no photos, just kept it really simple for this spread. These little paper clips, I got several of them. They are very chunky. This is the only one that I used in my album, and it's not functioning, it's not doing anything, it's just adding, you know, a little bit of detail on the pocket there. For day 18, I love this spread. It's mostly using items from the Crepe Paper Merry Days collection, and every year I make some kind of ornaments, and that kind of stems from my childhood, which I write about here in my journaling. My grandmother was really into crafting. We were always hand making all kinds of things, but especially Christmas ornaments, and so I have in years past created ornaments kind of similar to what we did with her. This year I did some baked clay ornaments and wood slice ornaments. I do have a process video on my channel. I'll link it down below if you're interested in that. I just wanted to find some creative ways to use my Bible journaling supplies like clear stamps to make ornaments. So I went ahead and blew this photo up to the full size to back this pocket up. It isn't protected, but I think it'll be fine. And if it has to be reprinted or if it gets ruined, you know, it's not people, it's just stuff, so it's not the end of the world. I also created some little filler cards. One thing I really enjoyed with this project, and probably why it's so chunky, are these chipboard pieces. I don't really use a lot of chipboard, especially in my Bible journaling, so that's been really fun. And I've enjoyed putting, you know, some of the journaling and photos and things in the pockets, and then leaving the stickers and things on the outside of the pockets to add some texture and dimension and just some interest to my layout. So it's not just everything stuck in pockets. I did make sure that I use like red line tape when I did this. That way it's nice, strong adhesive. I don't have to worry about these pieces falling off. And you'll see I continue to use the Felicity Jane gold numbers. I use those all the way through my album. That way they're consistent. Day 19 was a fun one. This is a double page spread. We had one of the boys' friends over and we left super early in the morning to head down to Bakersfield to go ice skating. It's something that my boys have done several times, but their friend had never been ice skating before, so it was really fun to take him. And of course he was a total natural at it. It was even better than my kiddos, but you can see Aiden with his little helper seal so he doesn't fall down. But we just had so much fun. We went super early in the morning, so there wasn't very many people. We followed it up with some hot chocolate, went to Chick-fil-A, of course, and just, you know, had tons of photos. Now, I know a lot of you do other projects besides December Daily, like Project Life or Traveler's Notebook documenting, and so you can kind of break up your photos and save the special photos for your December Daily album. I'm not doing that. I only did this album this month, so my spreads, when there are events, are very photo heavy because all the photos are going in here. So I just use, you know, some more of the Merry Days collection as filler pieces, and then my journaling. So kept it pretty simple. Day 20, again, was one of those days where we didn't really have anything at all going on. This was actually the last day that I did. I went ahead and finished my whole book and then came back to this day and was like, okay, what am I going to do with this? Because nothing happened on the 20th. So I went ahead and just did a few of my favorite things. So I just listed a few of my favorite things during the holidays, all the Christmas decorations, pumpkin scented candles, just things like that, and then just made a list. No photo, no real journaling, and then just use some of, you know, at this point, it's the very last page, so just use some of the chipboard pieces that I hadn't used yet, that were my favorites, and just created some, you know, filler elements and called it good. It was okay to be, you know, just simple. Day 21 was one of those fun days. My husband was still working at this point, so I decided to take the boys for a movie date, and this one was 100% inspired by, not Instagram, Pinterest. I had seen quite a few like movie spreads in December Daily, a lot of people like blowing up photos of their popcorn. So what I did was I took a 6x8 pocket and just cut it down to 3x8. Now I do have a fuse tool. I could have fused this, but honestly I was kind of lazy. I didn't want to pull it out for just one piece, so I just went ahead and sealed it with some washi tape. If it becomes an issue in the future and starts to fall apart, I can always go back in and fuse that if I need to, and then just use some Felicity Jane alphas to spell out, you know, movie date. Now I don't have any of the Avery tabs. I plan on picking some up and coming back in and adding some of those tabs into here for pages like this, just to give you something to grab a hold of to turn the page. On the back side of that 3x8 is where I did all of my journaling, just talking about, you know, our little movie date. Of course, the photos aren't great. You're in the movie theater where it's dark. Also, the front-facing camera on my phone is a little bit messed up, or something's wrong with it, and so none of my front-facing photos in this album are great, but that's okay. I just kind of stick with it. So we did go ahead and go see Aquaman, so I just printed out the movie poster and kind of sized it down to fit in one of the pockets. This giant pretzel I kind of talk about in this story, it's funny, I had never ordered that from there before. We are one of those people, I know it's so bad, we smuggle in candy and water with us, so we don't buy a whole lot from the movie theater, but we splurged and got one of these, and I was just expecting like a regular size pretzel, and when they brought it to me, it came in a pizza box. This thing was huge. It was so crazy. So of course I had to take a photo, had to document about that, and just kind of a super fun, very photo heavy spread, and that is okay. Day 22. Now, this is one of my absolute favorite spreads in this whole book, which is kind of funny because it was one of the worst days of the month. So, day 22 was a Saturday. We saved all of our Christmas shopping for that Saturday, and really we were only shopping for our kiddos. We didn't do any gift exchanges with people this year, and so I had all these big grand plans in my head for the day, for my husband and I to have a date day and have all these fun selfies and fun photos and go out to lunch and all this funness. But we ended up getting in an argument that morning, and so it was like, don't talk to each other, super tense, get the day done. And I documented about that, and I think it's important to document even the not so good days. Maybe not arguments with your husband. I didn't go into details, but it was a really minor thing. But it was to the point where when we went out to lunch, the guy asked us if we wanted separate checks. Like, we weren't talking to each other. So I just journaled about that. And then there was this Mary sticker from Felicity Jane, so I just put not so merry. And you know what? It's okay to have some bummer days, but the rest of the spread turned out way beyond my hopes and dreams. I love how it came out. And so I used a cut file that I found on Silhouette Studio store and cut it out of some Felicity Jane papers to make this like wreath that then I stuck the numbers on the outside of the pocket. This one here, I saved these acrylic and wood houses from Felicity Jane and thought this would be a perfect moment just to have a filler card. So those are stuck on the outside, and then on the inside, I found this star cut file from Felicity Jane and cut it out of this plain white cardstock, layered it over some gold sparkly cardstock, and just made this really fun layered piece here, and then brought over that same kind of motif onto this card. I was loving this buffalo plaid washi from Illustrative Faith, and so there was this paper from Felicity Jane and just kind of did the same thing. And then over here, this is 100% scrap lifted from one of the gals on the Felicity Jane design team. I will link her blog post down below. It was super gorgeous, and I did change up a couple things, but for the most part really just lifted a lot of her design because it's just so gorgeous. I wish she would have mentioned how long these little rosettes take, because it took half a day just to put together this page. I found this cut file, or two different cut files on Silhouette Studio, and cut them out of some Felicity Jane papers. It was nice doing it on there because it gives you these little score marks. So they're easy to fold, but they are very tiny and they are kind of time consuming. And this page is very, very, very dimensional. There's things popped up on foam. Use the stamp set from Felicity Jane. And then on hers, she had the word, I think Advent or Advent Memories or something like that, in white. I went ahead and there was this cut file from Felicity Jane that says Merry Christmas. And so I just pulled the Mary from it, since we've got Mary over here. And then I did cut it out on black cardstock 3 times and then layered it up. That way it had a little bit more like substance to it. Since it's not stuck down everywhere, I wanted it to be a little bit, you know, more substantial, more like a chipboard piece almost. And so I did layer that up. So I love how this came out. It's just a kind of a bummer story. Day 23 is kicking off our Christmas celebrations. So our church decided to do their Christmas service that Sunday the 23rd, and we go to a very small church. It's very new. It's only been open for about a year, and so they do a lot of community outreach type things. And so they had a wonderful serious Christmas service, but then after service they had a giant like community potluck, and they had a petting zoo, they had bounce houses, cookie decorating, sumo Santa wrestling, I mean just crazy stuff, and it was so awesome. It was packed full, so it was just neat to see so many people from the community coming for that service. My kids, it was a kind of a crazy day. We also were leaving town, so we left the house super early to drop off our dogs to be boarded. Got to the church super early, so the boys all on their own volunteered to get there early to help set up. So of course we're going to support that. So we got to the church super early. They helped set up all kinds of things, and they're a little old for bounce houses and things like that. So the only thing they were kind of entertained by was the petting zoo, of course, and then they were just helping, you know, clean up, set up, things like that. So they didn't really have a lot of photos of the other stuff. I love this big photo of the boys with the little alpaca. If you knew from past photos, we have a couple alpaca ornaments, so of course they had to get a photo with that alpaca. just some journaling here. And then on the back side is continuing day 23. So we headed back down to Tehachapi where my dad lives to do Christmas with them. And so I thought about keeping the colors kind of the same, but the colors of the photos are very different. So what I did was just left the journaling card similar. So I just used a little bit of washi tape and this word sticker. I did the same thing here, and that way it kind of ties those two pages together. And so since we're not doing gift exchanges with the adults and things like that this year, we just did for the kids. They went ahead and opened their gifts from my dad and his wife Sunday night. So there's just a couple photos of them opening their gifts. They were super excited. We kept it very minimal, just a couple gifts and some things that we thought that they would really get some use out of. So there is continuing day 23. And then I wanted to break up day 24 and day 25. So I used this transparency sheet from Felicity Jane and then just added some alphas to the front. And then I just backed it with some plain paper from Felicity Jane just to kind of act as a divider piece. On the back side here, I love this paper from the Crepe Paper Merry Days collection. I used every single little scrap of it. In fact, this was like a wonky, misshapen little scrap of paper, and I used a Felicity Jane cut file just to cut out the snowflake, just to back this paper. Now, I did use some Ranger Multimedia Matte glue, and it like made the color bleed really weird. So I can't fix it. Like I said, I'm all out of that paper, so we're just gonna roll with it. It was just in a couple places. Kind of a bummer, but that's okay. So I just left that very simple since, again, we're very photo heavy over here. And this is Christmas Eve at my dad's. So we had my sister come down from the Bay Area. She and I went shopping that morning for a couple last minute things, and we ended up with the same sweater. So we went ahead and took a photo of us with our sweaters matching, just a photo of my husband and I and my boys and I and their cousins, and again did some journaling. This journaling I did go ahead and dress up with some of the paper and labels and things like that. I kind of wish I had done something similar to this throughout the rest of the album. I like how this card turned out. And then on the back side here, just some family photos. We did have all of the sisters and stepsisters together and our significant others other than my sister's husband. One thing about going to my dad's house is all those girls are super into photos. My stepmom's super into taking photos. And so it takes 5 billion years to get family photos. There were tons and tons that I didn't include in here. And that's just part of going down there. And so I just picked a few to include in here. And then this was just a filler card using mostly the Crepe Paper Merry Days collection, a little bit of paper from Felicity Jane. And the tag is like paper clipped on here, but I did add a little bit of adhesive behind it just to, you know, help it stick on there. So that was day 24. Again, I want to break up day 25. One thing that my husband and I have tried to do the last few years is have Christmas, just the four of us, Christmas Day at our house. And so we did go ahead and head back home, which is about 2.5 hour drive. Christmas Eve, that way we could be home for Christmas. So again, this is a transparency sheet from Felicity Jane, and then just added the numbers, again backed it with some paper from Felicity Jane, and then we head into Christmas Day. So on the back side of this paper, I just used one of those chipboard pieces from the Merry Days collection. And then it's just my boys opening their gifts. Again, we try to keep gift giving very, very minimal. Mostly things they needed, like backpacks, a new Bible, things like that. But my husband has been begging for all 11 years of their life to get them a BB gun. So they did get BB guns this year, and that was kind of the fun, exciting gift. For my journaling here, I wasn't quite sure what to do with this card since it was a lot of journaling, and so I went ahead and just did this vellum overlay with this really pretty joy piece from the Merry Days collection. I searched all over my craft space trying to find my regular vellum, and I could not find it, and so I went ahead and just settled for this one from Crepe Paper. It kind of all, I don't know, I don't think that it matches perfectly, but that's okay. It just gives you this fun interactive element with these chipboard pieces. And then on the back side, this is still day 25. Of course, they had to go out and shoot their BB guns. You can see safety first. We are responsible. We got them like eyewear and all kinds of things as part of their gifts. And so they're just out there shooting their BB guns at some cans and things in the yard. So just left it, you know, mainly photos. These are some rub-on transfers from Tim Holtz that I added to the large photo. And then this is just the back side of the paper that the journaling was on, and just added another chipboard piece, and that is it. I may come back and finish this maybe with a letter, right, you know, wrapping up the project, or maybe just some pattern paper. I'm not sure, but that is it for all 25 days. We are done. I'm super excited. I will go ahead and link as many products down below as I can that I used, process videos for different things that I mentioned, past flip throughs will be linked down below if you want to catch those. If you have any questions or comments, be sure to leave those down below for me. This is my first year, like I said, completing this project, and so I'm sure it'll evolve and change over the years. I'm excited to head in to the new year. I will be doing Project Life next year, so I'm excited to kind of continue playing with this whole pocket page type format. I've not really done that before, so I'm excited for that. So if you have any questions about that, leave that down below. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed. And until next time, thank you so much. Bye-bye.